have another book review for you guys. This is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is another one for one of my book clubs this month. I'll put the link for that down in the description. But this is also a book and a series I've been meaning to read for a while because everybody talks about this. And I don't know if I never read the synopsis on the back or on Goodreads or whatever myself, or if I got this mixed up with another book. But I was expecting a book set in a fantasy world. There's going to be spoilers in this. If you didn't read it in the description, there's going to be spoilers. I was expecting a book set in a fantasy world about a heist. Neither of those things is accurate. It's set in our world, but there is magic. And there's a treasure hunt, sort of, but not a heist. So, I was wrong there. Okay. Trying to think of my overall thoughts, and then I have specific things that I want to mention. I have notes for once, because there are so many things. I've been reading, when I finish a book, I've been reading the reviews of, friends and people I follow on Goodreads, and to give me more points to talk about in my review, and there were so many reviews that I had to take notes. Overall, I really, really liked this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I do see the hype. I don't think it's as amazing as everyone says, but don't kill me. I think the same thing about Harry Potter so far, even though I'm only through the first 3 books, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, don't kill her because you'd be wrong and she'd be right.
I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that's mine. So thus far, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm going to start getting into my specific points. So I really like Chainsaw, the little raven, and I want to know more about her. I think a little novella all about her, even if it's just the care and feeding of a dream raven, would be so cool. Everybody seems to have a favorite of one of the boys, or a favorite character or whatever, and I don't really have a favorite. And that's another point, is that everybody either says, I love all the characters, they're so unique, they each have their own personalities, and this one's my favorite, or they say they're so bland, they don't have their own personalities, especially Blue. Oh, I need to write that down. That's another. Especially Blue. I find it kind of to be in the middle. They do have pretty distinct personalities, but there's not one that leaps out at me as this is my favorite. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Blue or Gansey. Or Adam. But then Ronan's pretty cool, and Noah's neat in his own respect. It's kind of like trying to choose a favorite doctor, you know? Yeah, for my Whovians out there. Talking about Doctor Who, if nobody knows what I'm talking about. I really like Blue. I think it's sad that her true love will die if she kisses him. And it seems obvious that that's Gansey, but it also seems like there's some kind of thing in between her and Adam. And at the beginning, I was thinking, well, if Gansey's gonna die, then she can at least end up with Adam, and that would be cool. But then towards the middle of the book, it seems like they're gonna pull a Buffy and, have Gansey die, but then he comes back. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, if you don't know that reference either. These are pretty wide references. They're not that obscure.
So why are you worried about it?
I'm trying to be comprehensive. But then we don't know by the end of the book. I don't know which tangent to go off on. We don't know by the end of the book, which annoys me, but at the same time, I have to read the next book.
That's why it was done that way, probably.
But it wasn't done like a cliffhanger, like you would normally do. So tangent 1, Blue, a lot of people say that she's supposed to be this weird character, and she's not, but I don't see it that way. The way I see it is she's the most normal one of her family, and she just likes to be weird on the outside. Weird. She likes to be more unique on the outside, but really she's what's the word?
Enigmatic?
No, it starts with an S, and sensible. She's really sensible. It even says that in the books. So I don't think that was that out there. The other tangent I was going to go on is the ending. And a lot of people had this issue. We have all these things and it looks like we're going to tie up these ends and then leave something for the next book, like most books do. But then it hops to the last chapter, which is like 2 or 3 pages. And it's a month later. And okay, this is happening. And a bunch of stuff happened in between. You're like, okay, now she's going to tell you what happened in between. And then they just keep going with the funeral and everything. And I'm like, but loose ends are fraying and but so I definitely see everybody's point with that. I don't know.
DC Comics did that several years ago where they suddenly skipped ahead a year. That was terrible.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really read comics anymore.
Another thing with the characters was the romance. I already mentioned that. Then a lot of people said it was really slow. I definitely saw that. Like, I didn't want to put it down, but at the same time, it was pretty easy for me to put it down and, like, go do something with the baby or do laundry or whatever. Do laundry. I was supposed to do that today. I didn't do that today. Who am I kidding?
You did some.
Yeah, a little. But I wanted to go back to it, but I was okay with putting it down. As long as I could go back to it within like half an hour. It wasn't I have to get back to this and finish reading it. So it was kind of slow. I definitely see where people are coming from with that, but I still really enjoyed it. And that seemed to be a consensus too. It's slow, but I really enjoyed it. It was slow for the first 100 pages and I really got into it. I got into it at the middle of things a lot of people were saying. The other thing was a lot of people either loved or hated the mythology. I'm a big mythology nerd. And I love the mythology. So the big mythology aspects in here were the psychics and the magic and the energy and overall. And that was cool. But the big thing was Glendower, which is this Welsh king. And that's a big focus in the story. And I liked that. That was really interesting. And it talked about ley lines. And those I found really interesting as well. Because I read about them before and stuff like that. And the combining of all of it. And then even the throwing in of the time being off. And then the Scottish stuff about Fae, and there's a bunch of little things thrown in. I loved it. I don't know if it was all accurate to historical mythology, but it seemed like it, and there are definitely aspects that I have heard before. I've not heard of Glendower, I don't think, but it sounds familiar. And 2, if you have read... What?
8 minutes.
Okay. I've gone that long ago. I have opinions, I guess. If you've read Beowulf, Glendower kind of definitely gave me some Beowulf vibes. And if you've read any of the like historical stuff about the mounds where they had like ships buried and kings and everything, that's the...
Sutton Hoo?
Yeah. That it reminded me of that too. But I definitely got some Beowulf vibes off of Glendower.
I really gotta get one of those phone camera tripods.
Sorry, I had notes worth of opinions about this one. Anyway, I love the mythology, although the mythology itself and the history aspects, those are a little bit heavier, and I can understand why some people wouldn't like them as much. If I didn't already say it, this is book 1 in the Raven Cycle series.
You did.
But yeah, that's...
Yeah, probably.
I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or opinions, I'd love to discuss this book with you guys down in the comments. I'm going to give Alex's wrists a break and let you guys go now. So don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!